The WNBA now finds itself facing serious financial pressure, and many believe the league is struggling to maintain the momentum it gained without Caitlin Clark on the court. Once again, critics argue that the organization has failed to recognize the importance of protecting the very player who helped bring unprecedented attention, larger audiences, and renewed excitement to women's basketball. This has become the story of a league that continues to undermine its own success, while its biggest attraction remains unavailable, with every passing day of uncertainty carrying a growing financial cost and raising even more questions about the decisions being made behind the scenes.
Oh man, Caitlyn she's a beast, man. Like, and they love her. So I'll probably say Caitlin Clark. I love Tyrese, but she's another level in terms of just the love that.
In today's era of manufactured drama and nonstop social media controversy, finding the truth can be almost as difficult as finding a sold-out WNBA arena without Caitlin Clark playing. When Clark was forced to miss the June 24th game because of a quad injury, the league's overwhelming dependence on one superstar became impossible to ignore. Now, with her sidelined once again due to a groin injury and no clear timetable for her return, the WNBA appears to be reliving the exact same situation all over again. Once again, her absence is exposing just how heavily the league relies on a single player to drive attention, excitement, and fan interest.
Caitlin's amazing. Super amazing. She's a great player. Having her be courtside and watching our games is awesome. We see the excitement that she has on the sides, but just like she's doing that, we do the same. Like when they're playing, like it's so much. It's a joy.
Nationally televised WNBA viewership reportedly plunged by an astonishing 55%. Dropping from an average of roughly 1.81 million viewers when Caitlin Clark was on the court to just 847,000 when she was absent. Indiana Fever games experienced a similar decline, with television audiences falling by nearly 53% without their biggest star in the lineup. But this is where the entire narrative takes an even more unbelievable turn. What initially looked like a temporary setback has evolved into something far more damaging. The numbers paint a troubling picture for a league that continues to avoid confronting its own shortcomings, making the situation not just disappointing, but potentially catastrophic for an organization that refuses to acknowledge where its biggest problems truly lie.
I think for me, getting to actually spend time around her, be around her, get to know her personally, she's just an amazing person, an amazing player. She deals with a lot there's a lot of rhetoric behind her that she really has no control over, and I think that the way she handles that is just amazing. Like, I think when it comes to the game of basketball, like, she's probably top 5 most famous people that are playing right now, just in general. That includes our league as well.
While Caitlin Clark was doing what she does best, selling out arenas, breaking television viewership records, and generating unprecedented revenue for the league, the WNBA appeared to be doing what it has been criticized for most, failing to adequately protect its most valuable star. Despite Clark being credited with driving an enormous share of the league's attention and commercial success, critics argue that the league has done little to discourage the physical play directed at her, often dismissing incidents as nothing more than routine basketball. What makes the situation even more frustrating is that this isn't the first time the league has faced similar challenges. The WNBA has already seen how injuries to its biggest attraction can affect ratings, attendance, and overall revenue, yet many believe it still hasn't learned from those experiences. It's almost like watching someone touch a hot stove, get burned, and then immediately reach for it again while insisting they never realized it was hot in the first place.
Because everybody is looking for you to say anything, and they're going to splice it and cut it and make it a negative thing. And I think for her, the one thing that I love that she's bringing to her sport, more people want to watch. More people want to tune in. I saw for the first time that they had a chartered plane for the first time in their league history. They flew private. That should be celebrated in its own right.
If you're enjoying this breakdown, make sure to subscribe because stories like this continue to reshape the conversation around the league. The financial impact arrived quickly and was impossible to ignore. Ticket prices for Indiana Fever games reportedly dropped by as much as 71%, with some seats falling from around $8.60 to nearly $2.50. For games Clark was expected to miss, the average resale ticket price reportedly tumbled from roughly $1.370 to about $1.80, highlighting just how much demand is tied to her presence. Several road games that had been moved to larger arenas specifically to accommodate the surge of interest surrounding Clark suddenly faced the challenge of filling thousands of empty seats. Even the highly anticipated rematch between the Los Angeles Sparks and the Indiana Fever, which had originally been one of the biggest attractions of the season, saw ticket prices decline from about $2.10 to $1.95. The previous meeting between those teams attracted more than 2.25 million viewers, making it one of the most-watched WNBA broadcasts in recent years. Without Clark on the floor, however, many casual fans viewed it as just another regular season game rather than a must-watch event.
Hype about Steph and Sabrina. I know that you have spoken about Caitlin Clark. You're a big Caitlin Clark fan.
Oh, yeah.
She, of course, is an excellent shooter. Would you ever do like a Caitlin Trey three-point contest at All-Star?
Of course I would. I've gotten to talk to her too throughout her college years. We're the only two people that ever led college in points and assists. That's a crazy stat. I'd have to definitely practice a lot more than I have for these previous three-point competitions. I'd be ready for sure.
Veteran sports journalist Christine Brennan has become one of the strongest critics of the WNBA's handling of its biggest star. Her upcoming book, On Her Game, Caitlin Clark and the Revolution in Women's Sports, is expected to take a deeper look at Clark's impact on women's basketball while also examining the challenges and controversies surrounding the league. After another game in which Clark was the focus of physical play from opponents, Brennan argued that the WNBA continues to fail to meet the moment. When more people are watching than ever before, this is what they see. Her criticism is both direct and difficult to ignore. According to widely discussed viewership figures, Clark is responsible for attracting a significant share of the league's television audience, yet many critics believe the league has still failed to do enough to discourage unnecessary physical contact against its most marketable player. To them, it resembles a restaurant owner allowing customers to harass the head chef, the very person responsible for bringing people through the doors in the first place.
Your favorite women's basketball player?
Caitlin Clark.
Really?
Yeah.
You don't like Paige Buchers?
Well, she's okay. I didn't see her playing in the women's NBA.
For many fans, the situation is starting to feel like a frustrating pattern that keeps repeating itself. Caitlin Clark is frequently involved in physical confrontations with opponents, and critics argue that some players appear more focused on sending a message than simply playing basketball. According to the statistics being circulated online, the Phoenix Mercury were responsible for a large percentage of the league's most controversial fouls against Clark, with several of those incidents occurring during the 2026 season. The reaction to Clark has also become a no-win situation in the eyes of her supporters. If she responds to the physical play, she's accused of being overly confrontational. If she stays quiet and avoids reacting, she is labeled too sensitive. Many fans believe the league has failed to establish a clear and consistent standard for handling these situations. At the same time, concerns about the broader financial impact continue to grow. The WNBA was already projected to lose significant money this season, and critics argue that the league's challenges become even more visible whenever Clark is unavailable. They point to declining attendance, lower television ratings, and slower merchandise sales as evidence that the surge in interest driven by Clark has become one of the league's most important economic engines.
I'm sick of watching Caitlin getting attacked. If the league doesn't step up and protect her, things are going to get ugly real fast.
The worst part of this entire situation is that it could have been avoided from the very beginning. When Caitlin Clark entered the league, she arrived with humility despite all the attention surrounding her. She constantly praised her teammates, avoided making herself the center of every conversation, and handled criticism with a level of maturity that is uncommon for a 22-year-old athlete. The WNBA had a golden opportunity to embrace her, protect one of its brightest stars, and use her popularity to elevate the entire league. Instead, many believe internal politics, resentment, and short-sighted decisions overshadowed what should have been one of the greatest success stories in women's basketball. The consequences extend far beyond ticket sales and television ratings. Major corporate sponsors invested millions of dollars because of the unprecedented excitement surrounding Clark, but every controversy raises fresh questions about the league's direction and long-term strategy. At the same time, the situation has exposed a much deeper issue with how the WNBA presents itself to fans and business partners. On one hand, the league wants to be viewed as a serious, world-class professional sports organization. On the other, repeated controversies continue to dominate headlines and social media discussions. Those two goals cannot coexist forever. The most successful professional leagues protect their biggest stars while preserving competitive integrity, whereas organizations that rely on constant controversy risk damaging both their credibility and their future.
I saw somebody break down the release time, which is pretty much identical to mine. And it hurt his confidence. You can't help but watch when she plays, where she's shooting from, the range, the confidence, the flair. Like, she's a performer. It's crazy though, just because her shot is like that. It's at that level. If you really watch, like, her floor game is as impressive. So it's kind of the total package.
As I mentioned earlier, many fans believe there is a clear and embarrassing contrast between the WNBA and other major professional sports leagues. Imagine if the NBA claimed to prioritize fair competition while allowing players to repeatedly target a superstar like LeBron James with dirty plays over the course of an entire season. Most people would expect the league to step in immediately, issue suspensions, and make it clear that such behavior would not be tolerated. Action would likely come long before anyone even had the chance to call it a flagrant foul. Critics argue that the WNBA has taken a very different approach. Instead of sending a strong message, they believe the league has allowed these situations to continue, creating the impression that any publicity, even negative publicity, is good for business. As a result, some fans say they have stopped attending or watching games that don't involve Caitlin Clark because they no longer believe the competition is being officiated fairly. When a league reaches the point where its own supporters openly admit they have lost confidence in how games are being called, the issue extends far beyond television ratings or ticket sales. It becomes a serious question of credibility, competitive integrity, and the league's ability to earn and maintain the trust of its audience. Has been given multiple opportunities to address these concerns, yet many critics believe it has repeatedly failed to take meaningful action, making the situation even more frustrating with each passing incident. Every controversial play involving Caitlin Clark should have served as a wake-up call for the league to introduce clearer standards for player safety, consistent officiating, and fair competition. Instead, fans say they continue to hear the same familiar explanations about basketball plays and letting the players play, without seeing any noticeable changes on the court. Ironically, the strongest evidence of Clark's importance to the league has come during the periods when she has been unable to play, the very outcome many believe the league should have been working hardest to avoid. A reported 55% decline in television viewership during her absence is far too significant to dismiss as a coincidence. Despite those numbers, however, there has been little indication that the league has learned from the experience. League officials frequently defend their approach by talking about maintaining competitive balance and allowing physical basketball, often suggesting that hard contact is simply part of the game. At the same time, critics argue that genuinely dangerous plays involving Clark continue to receive inconsistent treatment, while far less serious incidents are sometimes scrutinized much more heavily. This inconsistency has only added to the growing frustration among many fans and observers. The WNBA is now at a point where it has to make some difficult decisions about the kind of league it wants to become. The solution to this issue is not overly complicated. If the league wants to be recognized as a truly professional basketball organization, then it must start acting like one in every aspect. That means establishing clear, consistent standards for player safety and enforcing those standards equally, regardless of who is involved. The focus should remain on the quality of basketball rather than allowing unnecessary controversies and manufactured drama to dominate the conversation. Most importantly, the league must understand that its biggest stars, especially the players who consistently fill arenas, attract television audiences, and bring new fans into the sport, deserve to be protected from repeated targeting and unnecessary physical play that does little more than create headlines and social media debates. The continued decline in revenue, attendance, and television viewership during Caitlin Clark's absence has become a sobering reminder of what the league looked like before her arrival and what many fear it could become again if meaningful changes are not made. Without Clark, the league reportedly averaged only 555,000 viewers this season, well below the 670,000 average from the previous year. To many observers, those numbers reflect a return to the pre-Clark era, when empty seats, lower television audiences, and limited mainstream attention were far more common. The most disappointing part of this entire situation is that it never had to unfold this way. If the WNBA had done a better job of protecting, supporting, and promoting its biggest star, it could have used Caitlin Clark's incredible popularity as the foundation for long-term growth and stability. Instead, many critics argue that the league has built a fragile system that seems to struggle whenever its biggest attraction is no longer on the court. Rather than creating lasting momentum, the league continues to rely heavily on one player to drive attention and interest. Until the WNBA finds a way to consistently protect and invest in the players who bring new fans, sell tickets, and generate television audiences, it risks repeating the same cycle over and over again. Every season becomes a boom or bust situation where the presence or absence of one superstar has an outsized impact on the league's visibility and success. The biggest question now is whether the WNBA will finally recognize the value of its most important stars and take meaningful steps to protect them, or whether it will continue down a path that risks wasting the unique opportunity Caitlin Clark's popularity has created. Based on everything that has happened so far, many fans remain unconvinced that the league is ready to change. Now we'd love to hear from you. Share your thoughts in the comment section below. If you enjoyed this discussion, be sure to subscribe and turn on all notifications so you never miss future updates. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video after you click the one on your screen.